Kaganapan sa lipunan na dapat nating malaman. I-like at i-share lang ang mga balitang inilalabas sa ating official Facebook page. Huwag kalilimutang i-follow ang ating ikalawang Facebook page, ang Bandera News TV Philippines. Bandera News TV Philippines. Ito po ang inyong kabandera, Bing Bataga. Basta radyo, i-bandera mo!
Basta balita at impormasyon. Dito na tayo sa nangunguna. Bawat segundo, may kaganapan sa lipunan na dapat niyong malaman. I-like at i-share lamang ang mga may init na balitang inilalabas sa ating official Facebook page. Huwag kalimutan, i-follow ang ikalawa nating Facebook page, Bandera News TV. Ito po ang inyong lingkod at inyong kabandera, Ed Agaram. Basta radyo, i-bandera mo!
Makabuluhang pagbabalita at serbisyo publiko ang kailangan nyo? Mga kabandera, dito na tayo sa nangunguna. Bawat segundo, may kaganapan sa lipunan na dapat mong malaman. I-like, i-share ang mga maiinit na balita na inilalabas ko sa ating Facebook page. Huwag kalimutang i-follow ang ikalawa nating Facebook page, ang Bandera News TV Philippines. Ito po ang inyong kabandera, Gerald Gales. Basta radyo, i-bandera mo!
Basta't balita at impormasyon, dito na tayo sa nangunguna. Bawat segundo may kaganapan sa lipunan na dapat mong malaman. I-like at i-share lang ang mga mainit na balitang inilalabas sa ating official Facebook page. Huwag kalimutang i-follow ang ikalawa nating Facebook page, ang Bandera News TV Philippines. Bandera News TV Philippines. Ito po ang inyong kabanderang Louie La Rosa. Basta radyo, i-bandera mo!
Nationwide. Bandera Nationwide. Nationwide.
Magandang umaga, Pilipinas, Luzon, Visayas at
Pero alam ko, for 5 years na rin tayo.
grabe, no? Ang bilis ng panahon. Ngayong umaga po, before that, bati uli kami yung sa lahat to nakikinig sa atin.
Ako, di man ko.
Pamamagitan ng 53 stations ng Radyo Bandera Philippines all over the country. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Magandang umaga din po sa lahat to ng mga nakasama natin sa TV. Sa Bandera News TV dito sa lungsod ng Puerto Princesa. Ilan na nga ba, Ken, yung followers natin dito sa Bandera News TV, 249,391 people. At saka magandang araw po sa 3,655 na followers ng Radyo Bandera Philippines all over the world. At saka sa 3,600 subscribers ng
Bandera, tahanan ng mga balitang
all of
totoo.
you, magandang umaga po, magandang araw. Ngayong umagang ito, November 21, 2020, ang pag-uusapan po namin ni kasamang Henry ay yung US Elections Part 2. Inumpisahan natin ito. Ito ang topic nito, last Saturday. Again, gusto ho namin ilahad sa inyo kung bakit pinag-uusapan namin, for example, itong eleksyon sa Amerika. Baka magtanong kayo, ano bang relevance nito sa buhay natin dito sa Pilipinas? Alam niyo ho, ang Amerika is the hegemon. Siya yung superpower, nag-iisa at gusto niyang ma-maintain yung kanyang superpower status. Pinipigilan niya yung ibang mga bansa na umasenso din, katulad ng China, katulad ng Russia. Ang epekto ho nitong policy na ito ng Amerika is they would like to control everything in the world Kaya kung ano ho nangyayari sa kanila,
Apektado tayo.
apektado ho tayo dito sa Pilipinas.
Apektado rin ang Asian countries.
Yes, lahat. Lahat. Kasi hegemon nga ho sila eh.
Oo.
Tingnan nyo, sa ngayon pa lang ha, sa ngayon pa lang ho, meron ng lumitaw na balita kasamang Henry. Isang Democrat na senator, nag-file siya ng bill na ipagbawal na raw ng Amerika yung pagbibenta ng mga baril at
Mga
saka
armas.
ng mga armas dito sa Pilipinas dahil nga ayaw nila dito sa Pangulong Duterte natin.
Luma na
dahil
yan.
dito sa kanyang war against drugs, no? Dami rong biktima, dami rong namatay. Imagine ho ninyo kapag natuloy ang presidency ni President Biden, gugulo ho yung bansa natin kasi yun ho ang trabaho nila. Lahat ng mga bansa, lahat ng mga leaders ng mga bansa na hindi nila kontrolado, guguluhin ho nila yung bansa na yun at mag-i-introduce sila ng regime change para mapalitan yung head ng bansa na yon nung tuta nila. Ganon ho ang relevance nitong topic na ito. And we will start this topic with this headline. Federal Election Commission Chair. Yung chairman ho mismo ng Federal Election Commission ng Amerika. Ito hong Federal Election Commission, ito ho sila yung
Parang Comelec.
official na body, parang Comelec dito sa atin, na sila yung nagdi-declare kung sino ba talaga yung official. Sila yung nanggagaling ho sa kanila yung official declaration kung sino ba yung panalo at saka kung sino yung talo. Hindi ho yung katulad ng ginawa nung billionaires media itong sa US na dineclare na nila as president-elect si Biden kahit wala pa hong lumalabas na mga official na mga resulta mula ho sa Election Commission. Ngayon, ito mismo, ang chairman ho mismo chairman mismo ng Federal Election Commission, sabi niya, if Sidney Powell says there was rampant voter fraud, I believe her. Si Sidney Powell ho, isa siya sa mga lawyers ni President Trump. Imagine ho niya, yung lawyer ni President Trump nagsabi na mayroong rampant na voter fraud. Ang daming kalukuhan na nangyari. At ano ang sinasabi ngayon nitong chairman ng Election Commission? I believe her. Naniniwala daw siya doon sa lawyer ni President Trump nung sinabi niya na there was rampant voter fraud. Pakita natin yung link, Ken. Umpisahan ko kasamang Henry first paragraph. Ray Traynor, head of the Federal Election Commission, or FEC, said in a tweet Tuesday that he believes Trump campaign lawyer Sidney Powell's claim of widespread election fraud.
Powell, a former federal prosecutor, recently claimed the president's legal team has been receiving a deluge of evidence concerning voter fraud and other irregularities, telling Fox Business that she has enough proof to launch a widespread criminal investigation and that we're getting ready to overturn election results in multiple states.
While
Right.
she declined to detail what evidence she may have in her possession, she insisted, I don't make comments without having the evidence to back it up. Actually,
Oo.
nagkaroon sila na press conference kasamang Henry. Noong 2 days ago, nagkaroon na press conference itong mga lawyers ni President Trump. At actually, doon sa press conference nila, challenge din talaga nila yung billionaires media na gawin nila yung kanilang trabaho. Doon ho sa press conference na ginawa, sana mapanood ho ninyo. Wala ho kaming time na issue yun dito kasi mahigit 1 oras.
mahaba yun.
Pero doon ho sa press conference na ginawa nila, inilahad na ho nila yung ibang mga evidences nila. We are getting ready to overturn election results in multiple states. Yan ho ang sabi ni Sidney Powell. Na ano naman ang sabi nung FEC chairman? Sabi niya, I believe her.
At sinabi ng Epoch Times na si Tom Ozimek, sabi niya that sabi niya sa kanyang tweet, forthright and honest in every case she's ever taken. Ito yung sinasabi pagka binanggit si Powell. Ganon ka kataas ang credibility nitong si Sidney Powell. If there, sabi niya, if he says there is rampant voter fraud in election 2020, I believe her. So talaga pinaniniwalaan siya. Powell's claim centers on the notion that election software switched millions of votes from President Donald Trump to Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. And she said a whistleblower has come forward alleging that the voting software was designed to rig elections. He saw it happen in other countries, she said, apparently referring to election hardware and software by Dominion Voting Systems and Smartmatic,
Yun.
or perhaps other software and machines.
Here is Sidney Powell appearing with Lou Dobbs to discuss the affidavit delivered to her showing how Smartmatic software was designed to manipulate election outcomes. Panoorin po natin itong interview ni Sidney Powell with Lou Dobbs sa Fox News din ho ito. Ito hong nabanggit dito for the first time yung Smartmatic.
Smartmatic,
'Di ba?
no?
Nung
Yung
last,
ano, nakaraan,
last
Dominion lang
Saturday.
eh.
Last Saturday ang ano na natin was Dominion lang. Ngayon mayroon na hong trace kung ano ang relationship ng Dominion Voting Systems at saka ng Smartmatic. Ang dami na hong lumalabas na mga analysis, na mga istorya tungkol dito. At nababanggit ho ang Pilipinas dito sa mga susunod na mga write-ups na babasahin natin. Ken, pwede na yung interview? Ayan.
Phone, Sidney Powell, a member of President Trump's legal team. She is also General Michael Flynn's attorney, former federal prosecutor, best-selling author, one of the country's most prominent appellate attorneys. Sidney, good to have you with us. Dominion voting system seems to be figuring larger and larger in the interest of your legal team. And what is the latest?
Oh, definitely, Lou. I've just gotten some stunning evidence from a first-hand witness, a high-ranking military officer who was present when Smartmatic was designed in a way that and I'm going to just read you some of these statements, if you don't mind, so I get them exactly
Sure.
right from the affidavit. Designed in a way that the system could change the vote of each voter without being detected. He wanted the software itself to function in such a manner that if the voter were to place their thumbprint or fingerprint on a scanner, then the thumbprint would be tied to a record of the voter's name and identity as having voted, but that voter would not be tracked to the changed vote. He made it clear that the system would have to be set up but not leave any evidence of the changed vote for a specific voter, and that there would be no evidence to show and nothing to contradict that the name or the fingerprint or thumbprint was going with a changed vote. Smartmatic agreed to create such a system and produce the software and hardware that accomplished the result for President Chavez. After the Smartmatic electoral management system was put in place, he closely observed several elections where the results were manipulated using the Smartmatic software. One such election was December 2006 when Chavez was running against Rosales. Chavez won with a landslide over Rosales, a margin of nearly 6 million votes for Chavez versus 3.7 million for Rosales. In 2013, he witnessed another Venezuelan national election where the Smartmatic management system was used to manipulate and change the results for Chavez. And it goes on and on. He was in the control room where multiple digital display screens were shown for results and voting. The actual voting results were fed into that room and onto the displays over an internet feed, which was connected to a sophisticated computer system created by Smartmatic. People in that room were able to see in real time whether the vote that came through the electronic voting system was in their favor or against them. If one looked at any particular screen, they could determine that the vote from any specific area or as a national total was going to be against either candidate. Persons controlling the vote tabulation computer had the ability to change the reporting of votes by moving votes from one candidate to another by using the Smartmatic software.
And Smartmatic, the relation...
Smartmatic.
Sidney, yes, and Smartmatic, the chairman is Admiral Pete Neffinger, who is also on the the vice president's transition team, his presumptuous presidential transition team. That's an extraordinary situation as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So here's the other kicker. When the Smartmatic machines are, when somebody's losing, like, for example, when Maduro and his supporters realized the size of the other guy's lead, they were worried that they were in crisis mode and would lose the election. The Smartmatics machines used for voting in each state were connected to the Internet, reported their information over the Internet to the Caracas Control Center real time, so the decision was made to reset the entire system. Maduro's and his supporters ordered the network controllers to take the Internet itself offline in practically all parts in Venezuela to change the results. It took the voting operators approximately 2 hours to make the adjustments in the vote from Radonsky to Maduro. Then when they turned the Internet back on and the online reporting was up and running again, they checked each screen state by state to be certain they could see each vote was changed in favor of Maduro.
Sydney, you tweeted earlier today about CIA and its association. What have you discovered there?
Well, other than the fact there's no way all this was happening around the world without the CIA knowing about it. I mean, that's just logic. This affidavit also explains it's been used to change election results all over the world. And it's all Venezuelan and Cuban and essentially communist money that's been doing this. It's a foreign-owned company, as you mentioned earlier. The president of it is Mr. Neppinger, who is on Biden's very presumptuous and immediately failing transition team. And people have been reporting this to our government for several years, including Democrats, and nobody's done a damn thing about it, Lou. I can't even express how furious I am over this.
Well, I share your fury and frustration, but I do have some news to break here at this moment. I have now received word from a highly reliable source that the FBI does have an investigative team that is now looking into this election. Now, what that means beyond that, but at least it's confirmation that they are investigating, and we'll see what moves, because there had been no indication that indeed publicly that they were involved. They are now. To that point, I'd just like to show, if we could put up the full screen, under what their authorities are when we talk about these state-run elections, even though they're federal elections for at least a sizable number of the candidates. As you see there, the ballot includes one or more federal candidates, an election, a polling place, official abuses of their office, the conduct involving false voter registration, the crime intentionally targets minority protected classes, the activity violates federal campaign finance laws. All of this laid out on the FBI website for anyone to look at. And it appears, Sydney, that at least the FBI has finally looked at that website. I'm not sure it was Christopher Wray, but someone at the FBI, and took action. Your thoughts?
Well, my other thought is that as soon as the Smartmatic system changed the votes that they wanted for their desired candidate, by the time they finish, they achieve a convincing but narrow victory of the certain number of votes they want for their candidate. This person saw by his own experience exactly what was happening there was happening here.
It is a deeply troubling election. As I said earlier, the worst in this country's history, bar none. And we have seen official investigative and Justice Department officials slow to move, and it is infuriating to everyone. The president,
we've seen willful blindness. They have adopted a position of willful blindness to this massive corruption across the country. And the Smartmatic software is in the DNA of every vote tabulating company's software and system.
Yes, and it is more than just a willful blindness. This is people trying to blind us to what is going on. We don't even know who the hell really owns these companies, at least most of them. That's got to change, and we've got to find out exactly what's going on. And thank God we've got a president who will stay in the fight all the way through until we get those answers. Sidney Powell, thanks so much. We appreciate it as always.
Interview na yon. Ano yung karimari-marim na napanood natin dito? napakinggan natin. Yung chairman ho ng Smartmatic, part siya ngayon ng Biden Presidential Transition Team. Sobra namang garapalan yun. Talagang kahit dito sa Pilipinas, hindi man nangyayari yung ganong kagarapal na mga moves, no? Na akalain ninyo, yung chairman itong Smartmatic, at itong Smartmatic na ito, yun ang ginamit, yung kanilang system, kanilang software, pati na yung kanilang counting machines, yun ang ginamit doon sa US in 30 states. Sa Amerika, ito din the same system, the same software, the same voting vote counting machines ginamit dito sa Pilipinas. Yun din ho ang ginamit doon sa US. Natatandaan nyo ho yung dito sa atin, itong huling election, yung presidential election natin, na hininto din nila nung gabi, nung nakita na nila kung ano na yung trend. Dito ho sa pangyayari na ito sa Amerika, mas marami tayong naintindihan kung paano talaga nila ginawa. Kasi ito yung ginawa nila sa US, ginawa din ho nila ng Smartmatic dito sa Pilipinas. Nung election day, nung madaling araw, nakita na nila ngayon yung trend na hindi mananalo yung kanilang kandidato. Lalo na yung sa vice presidency. Ano ho nangyari? Hininto, nagkaroon ng blackout, hininto yung counting. Pagkatapos nung mag-resume yung counting, ando na, bigla nang umakyat yung mga votes for Lene Robredo. At natulog nga lang yun. Exactly the same thing ang ginawa ho nila doon sa Amerika.
Siguro pag nakita
madaling araw,
pag nakita nila si Andy Bautista doon, mas lalo lalakas ang ebidensya.
nandoon pa si Andy Bautista kasama.
Lalo lalakas ang ebidensya.
Alam na alam ho ni dating COMELEC chairman Andy Bautista na nasa Amerika pa. Alam na alam ho niya kung paanong maniobra ang ginawa ng Smartmatic dito sa elections na ito, which he presided as COMELEC chair. Nandoon pa ho siya sa Amerika nagtatago, pero nakikitaan ho siya ng picture na may mga lumalabas sa Facebook na mga pictures na nasa US siya. Ang question nga is, bakit nakakapaglantad pa, nakakapagpakita pa rin ng lantaran ito si Andy Bautista? Akala ba natin hinahanap ito ng mga authorities natin dito sa Pilipinas?
Mukhang meron ding sa kanya, nagkakadal sa kanya.
Mayroon no siguro nangangailangan din ng serbisyo sa kanya. Pero ito hong sinasabi namin about Andy Bautista, speculation lang, wala ho kami nababasa ng mga reports na talagang nagkukunik kay Andy Bautista sa Smartmatic operations doon sa US. Ang sinasabi lang ho namin, very similar, ganyan din ho ang ginawa ng Smartmatic dito sa Pilipinas mula noong 2010, 2013 at saka 2016. Tatlong elections na nangyari dito sa Pilipinas, Smartmatic ang ginamit. At ito, marami pa hong mga materials again, like si Lord Malloch Brown, nababanggit din in other analysis. Wala lang kaming time na i-detalye yung mga yon because bawat programa ho namin ni Kasamang Henry ay limited kami ng 1 hour. So ang mga materials that we prepare is only good for 1 hour. Update.
Rudy Giuliani, President Donald Trump's personal lawyer, formally told a federal court that he will represent the Trump campaign in his long-shot case to block Pennsylvania from certifying votes. The case and whether it should be dismissed will be argued in federal court. At sinasabi doon sa CNN report, it's not known yet if Giuliani himself will argue the case or if he will leave that to Central Pennsylvania lawyer Mark Scaringi, who also joined the legal effort at the last minute. The move came after several lawyers withdrew from representing the Trump campaign in the case, which has been filed in the U.S. District Court for Middle District of Pennsylvania. Ang problema rito kasamang Rod, kung papayagan din ng korte, kung tatanggapin, baka pagtanggap sa korte, dismiss na kagad.
Doon sa Pennsylvania, no? Actually, doon sa sinasabi kong press conference na ginanap noong Thursday lang, Sabado ngayon, noong November 19 lang ho. Doon sa press conference na yon, in relation dito sa nabalita mo ba rito na may mga lawyers na umalis?
Marami pang abogado na nagsasabi na maraming kalokohan sa bawat state.
Inabasa mo ba itong ano rito? The move came after several lawyers withdrew from representing the Trump campaign in the case.
Oo.
Ang reason dito ho, binanggit ho ito ni Rudy Giuliani na the reason kung bakit nag-withdraw yung ibang mga lawyers na kasama nila is because they were being threatened. Hindi lang yung abogado mismo, kundi pati pamilya. No? Tinakot, ganon katindi yung brasuhan ho doon sa Amerika. In that interview noong November 19 na sinasabi ko, binanggit din ho doon ni Sidney Powell, itong napakagaling, isa sa mga kilalang abogada, lawyers doon sa Amerika. Binanggit din ho niya na itong Smartmatic or Dominion software ay kayang i-program in such a way na, for example, sa bawat boto ni Biden, ang count noon is 1.25. At ang boto naman na mababanggit para kay Trump, ang count noon is only 0.75. Tapos ginagawa ho nila, palagay ko ginamit din ito dito sa Pilipinas. Eh. Imagine ninyo yung algorithm na yan, na halimbawa binanggit yung pangalan ni Biden, may bumoto kay Biden, pero ang bilang noon is 1.25.
So sa bawat
Pag boto naman ni Trump, ang bilang noon is only 0.75.
may dagdag na
Kinaltasan na kagad yung kay Trump.
Yung isa may dagdag.
Yung isa may dagdag.
Hindi na halata kasi by point lang.
Hindi na
0.25
halata.
0.25 lang ang nasi-shave sa kabila at sa kabila nadadagdag 0.25. So hindi nakikita
Correct.
kagad.
Correct.
Sa bawat apat na butante na bumoto kay Biden, madadagdagan siya ng isang boto. At nababawasan naman kay Trump, sa bawat apat na butante, nababawasan na isa.
Ngayon, pagdating ho nung hating gabi, pagdating nung madaling araw, hininto nila ito kasi tiningnan nila nakikita nila yung trend na nananalo pa rin si Trump. Parang katulad dito sa Pilipinas, nakita nila yung trend na despite itong yung pandaya sa pamagitan nga ho nitong program na ito, na kung ang boto ng isa ay ang bilang ay 1.25, ang bilang naman ng boto ng kalaban niya is only 0.75, dapat lumamang talaga yung kandidato na sinusuportahan nila. Pero pagdating ho, the same story dito sa Pilipinas at saka doon sa Amerika, pagdating nung hating gabi, madaling araw, nakita nila yung trend na hindi nananalo yung kanilang kandidato despite itong
meron ng adjustment na ginawa.
Built-in, yung built-in na pandaraya within the software. Kaya nag-brown out dito sa Pilipinas, doon ang ginawa nila, in-stop nila yung kanilang counting. Pagkatapos nung niresume yung counting, exactly the same thing, nung niresume yung counting dito sa Pilipinas, yung kandidato na sinuportahan itong Smartmatic, yun na ang lumalamang. Ganon ho yung lumabas doon sa press conference na tiningnan ko kasamang Henry ha. Yung press conference nandoon, yung CNN, siguro yung lahat ng mga billionaires media. Challenge ni Rudy Giuliani, challenge ni Sidney Powell, yung mga media, to do the job na i-report nila, mayroon mga sana, ito dapat headline ito. Tinignan ko yung sa mga releases ng nitong billionaires media after that, wala talaga kasama. Ganoon katindi ang kalaban ni President Trump. Ang kalaban ni President Trump ay hindi lang ho yung mainstream media or billionaires media. Kalaban niya rin ang CIA, kalaban niya rin yung FBI. Although may balita kanina na iniimbestigahan na rin daw ng FBI ito, di ba? Doon sa interview kay Lou Dobbs, sinabi niya na ang FBI daw ay tinitingnan na rin itong voter fraud na nangyari nito. Kaya lang hindi niya rin sinabi kung sino sa FBI dahil yung head ng FBI dyan ngayon, si Christopher Wray, ay hindi nakakasiguro kung kanino tao yan.
Pati yung yung head ng Department of Home Security.
Of Home Security.
Wala na rin.
Si Trump ho kasi, para background lang ho natin, si Trump hindi ho siya career politician. Ibig sabihin natin ng career politician na almost all of his mature life ay nasa politika na siya. Si Trump is a newcomer. Hindi
businessman siya eh.
Businessman niya. Katapos, unang takbo niya, yung 4 years ago, nanalo siya. Hindi siya suportado nitong mga usual na mga businesses na sumusuporta dito sa mga career politicians. Katulad kay ang kalaban niya noon, si Hillary Clinton. Si Hillary Clinton, ang daming pera because he was supported by itong mga big businesses na gusto nilang makontrol yung American government. Si Trump, ang difference is hindi ho siya kontrolado. Although, ang pera ni Trump galing din ho sa mga malalaking mga
Negosyo.
negosyante.
Oo.
Ganoon ho kalakas ang control ng big business sa American politics. Yan ang panghuli ho natin na topic mamaya kung aabutin pa natin. Tuloy tayo kasama Henry. As Michael Snyder via The End of the American Dream detailed earlier, we are about to witness the most high-stakes court battle in the history of the United States. Yes, the outcome will determine whether Donald Trump or Joe Biden wins the presidency, but even more importantly, the integrity of America's elections is about to be put on trial. If fraud can be proven, extremely expensive voting machines will have to be destroyed all over the nation, and the way that we run our elections will need to be completely reconfigured. Unfortunately, dito sa Pilipinas, hindi lumabas itong need na ito kasamang Henry. Dapat binuwag talaga yung binago yung nirevamp yung COMELEC pagkatapos itong Smartmatic, although merong order sa President Duterte na paalisin na. Hindi natin alam kung anong voting system ang gagamitin natin ngayong parating na election sa 2022. But if fraud is not proven, our elections will continue to be run the same way, and nobody will ever dare challenge them again. Literally, this is the moment when we determine if there will be fair elections in the United States for the foreseeable future.
So to say that the stakes are very high is actually quite an understatement. Of course, in the short term, the implications of this court battle for our country will be enormous. If Biden wins the presidency, tens of millions of conservatives will completely lose faith in the system, and many of them will never vote again. But if Trump wins the presidency, tens of millions of liberals will completely lose faith in the system, and we will witness civil unrest in the streets on a scale that we have never seen before.
Tingnan mo yung
Magkabila, pare may problema.
Tingnan mo yung the way Michael Snyder presented yung situation sa Amerika. Kapag nanalo si Biden, yung about 70 million na mga bumoto kay Trump, hindi na sila maniniwala sa electoral system ng Amerika. Kapag nanalo naman daw si Trump, yung mga millions din na bumoto para kay Biden, hindi rin sila maniniwala sa electoral system ng Amerika. Pero mayroong dagdag. We will witness civil unrest.
Kasi
Bakit? Hindi
yan,
niya binanggit ito doon pag nanalo si nanalo si Trump. Pero binanggit niya. Bakit? Kasi yung mga Democrats, yung mga billionaires behind the Democratic candidates, sila din ang nag-finance nitong Black Lives Matter at saka nung Antifa, no? Sila kaya nilang manggulo sa Amerika because sila din itong mga yung Democratic Party are supported by billionaires na hindi tatanggapin, parang katulad dito sa atin, hindi nila kayang tanggapin si Pangulong Duterte na nanalo. Kaya sa 4 years na presidency ni Trump, maguluho talaga. Hindi siya nakapag-govern ng maayos dahil ganoon ka-powerful yung mga enemies aligned against him.
Oo, ang problema lang dito sa Pilipinas, hindi nila kayang gawin 'yon.
Oo.
Kainaman 'yon, hindi nila kayang gawin kasi ang laki na rating 91% na trust rating.
Oo, biro mo. The only president na nasa twilight na nung kanyang term, ibig sabihin patapos na ang term ni Duterte. Lahat ng mga presidente natin, ang popularity nila, approval rating mataas sa first year. Second year, pabagsak na ng pabagsak yan. Ito si Pangulong Duterte.
Tumataas.
92%. Akalaan yun. 92% ang kanyang approval rating dito na sa kanyang twilight of his term.
Sabi rito, take a moment and imagine how much fury there will be on the left if the election is flipped now. When Biden won, they celebrated wildly in the streets. But if Trump ends in the White House for a second term, they will be like extremely angry toddlers that have just had their favorite new toy taken away. At this point, most on the left assume that they have the election in the bag, and there is no way that Trump could possibly win. But with each passing day, more evidence of election fraud continues to emerge. We know that dead people voted. We know that people that move out of key swing states voted in those elections anyway. And we know that mail-in ballots were stolen and sent in. There are also sworn affidavits from witnesses that saw ballots being brought in the back door of polling locations and from witnesses that saw the same ballots being counted over and over.
Paulit-ulit na
But the-
kinount yung the same
But
ballots.
the key to this entire court battle is going to come down to the voting machines. In particular, the heart of the case to prove fraud is going to involve machines and software provided by a Canadian company called Dominion Voting Systems. Today, the machines and software provided by Dominion Voting Systems are used in 28 different states. According
30
to their...
actually.
Ha?
30.
30 na, oh.
Oo.
According to their official website, the critical swing states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada are all customers.
Itong, ano ko lang, idagdag ko
sige.
lang kasamang Henry kasi nadinig ko rin ito doon sa press ko na ginawa nga nila ni Rudy Giuliani noong Thursday. Itong mga states na ito, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada,
Puro baluarte
na
ni Trump.
customers ito, puro ito mga baluarte ni Trump, pero ang mga local officials so nito, ang mga mayors, mga governors at Democrats.
Oo.
Kaya
Napapasunod.
Kaya napapasunod nila, nagagawa nila kung ano yung gusto nila, including yung pagbili ho nitong Smartmatic voting system na ito. Merong hiwalay na analysis diyan, tatalakayin din natin kasamang Henry.
Trump attorney Sidney Powell says that she has uncovered evidence that indicates a computer algorithm was used to flip votes from Trump to Biden and that this completely changed the outcome of the election. This is a very, very serious allegation to make, and no experienced lawyer would make it lightly. Sidney Powell has put her entire reputation on the line in this battle, and she has a history of taking on huge battles and winning. The following comes from John Nolt. Sidney Powell is no joke. She served as a federal prosecutor for 10 years and earned a national reputation as the attorney who swooped in, convinced retired General Michael Flynn to withdraw his guilty pleas, and successfully pressured the Justice Department to drop its charges. She was a stalwart and regular presence in exposing the Russia collusion hoax, and by my count, everything she has said was going to happen and did happen.
But of course, this is the biggest battle that Powell has ever faced by far. Either she will win and become a legend, or she will lose and her reputation will be completely and utterly destroyed. The stakes could not be much higher for her personally, but she seems quite confident of victory. In fact, here are 12 quotes from Powell that show why she is so convinced that Trump will end up in the White House for a second term. Mayroon itong mga 12 things na sinabi ni Powell. Number 1, there has been a massive and coordinated effort to steal this election from we, the people of the United States of America, to delegitimize and destroy votes for Donald Trump, to manufacture votes for Joe Biden. Ito, sinabi ho ni Sidney Powell yan.
Number 2, first of all, I never say anything I can prove. President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were shifted by this software that was designed expressly for that purpose. We have sworn witness testimony of why the software was designed, and it was designed to rig elections.
It
Talaga
was
pala.
designed to rig elections. Ha? Quote number 3, they also used an algorithm to calculate the votes they would need to flip, and they used computers to flip those votes from Trump to Biden.
So, kalkulado na. Pagka talagang tagilid, kagaya na nangyari dito, meron silang plan 2. Plan B. So, number 4, sabi
Yung
niya,
changing di ba? Yung naging malaking topic, ano nga yung binago nila, katapos mula nung binago yung password ba yun?
yung glitch na yun sinasabi.
Hindi to sa Pilipinas.
Ay, sa kanila.
O yung dito sa atin.
Yung dito nga, kay Robredo.
May binago lang sila noon. Password ba yun? Na hindi daw dapat ginagawa yun ng Smartmatic. Binago nila, katas mula nung binago nila yon, nagbago na rin yung resulta. Ito na yung mga algorithms na sinasabi.
Nagpalit lang sila ng memory
Sila
card
nadidetermine kasi nila kung how many votes ang kailangan nilang dayain para manalo yung kanilang kandidato. Sa pamamagitan nga ho itong pagmomonitor nila sa election results.
And number 4, they had the algorithms. They had the paper ballots waiting to be inserted if and when needed. And notably, President Trump's vote in the blue states went up enormously. That's when they had to stop the vote count and they had to go in and replace votes for Biden and take away Trump votes.
Anong ginawa nila dito? Kapag nung makita nila doon sa computer, sa pag-monitor nila yung actual na election results, nakita nila na natatalo si Biden. Ano ang ginawa nila? Nakahanda na daw. They had the paper ballots waiting to be inserted if and when needed. So, ipapasok na nila itong mga paper ballots na ito na pre-filled up na, parang katulad nung dito sa atin, na iisa lang yung pati pagbilog
Iisa yung style.
Iisa yung style. Lumabas din yan dito sa atin, itong observations na ito. Exactly the same thing ang sinasabi ho dito ni Sidney Powell. Quote number 5, they can watch the voting real time. They can run a computer algorithm on it as needed to either flip votes, take votes out, or alter the votes to make a candidate win. It is massive criminal voter fraud writ large across at least 29 states. Itong massive na voter fraud na ito ay ginawa daw in at least 29 states. In 30 states, ang Smartmatic ang ginamit na software. So, very likely ginamit ito sa lahat ng mga 30 states na Smartmatic or Dominion voting system ang ginamit nila. It is obvious the algorithm and the statistics that our experts are tracking out are batches of votes and when the votes change. It's going to blow the mind of everyone in this country when we can get it all together and can explain it with the affidavits and the experts that have come forward. Isa ho sa mga nag-come forward is a major general, no? Napanood ko yung interview sa kanya dito sa Air Force siya, kasamang Henry. Tinalakay niya kung saan ito nag-umpisa itong voting system na ito designed to rig the elections. Nag-umpisa ito, actually ginawa ito ng CIA, ginawa ito nung mga previous administrations. Ano yung purpose nito? Para gamitin kasamang Henry doon sa mga bansa na gusto nilang manalo yung kanilang kandidato. Katapos ngayon, ito na nga yung masaya eh. Yung sa napakahabang panahon na pang-chuchupi, pang-aapi, pagkukontrol ng Amerika sa mga third world countries. Ito yung sinasabi natin. Na yung lahat ho ng mga vices, lahat ng mga kagaguhan na ginagawa nito mga third world leaders, mga dictators whom they supported, no, ay natutunan nila, na-perfect na nila, at ginagamit nila ngayon dito sa Amerika dahil ayaw nila na manalo uli yung sitting president who is President Trump.
Number 6, even their own manual explains how votes can be wiped away. They can put Trump votes to a separate folder and then delete the folder.
Tingnan nyo Nasa manual daw, hindi ho magsasabi ito si Attorney Sidney Powell ng ganito kung hindi totoo. Maaring binuranan nito sa manual mismo nung Dominion o Smartmatic ba tinutukoy niya rito. Pero nasa manual daw mismo. Pero ang sinabi doon sa press conference noong Thursday ni Rudy Giuliani, ang ginawa nila ay sinave na nila kasamang Henry. Mayroon na silang file. Kahit burahin yon, mayroon na hong nakahanda na kopya. Quote number 7. In fact, we have got math in Michigan and Pennsylvania. I think it is. That all of a sudden, hundreds of thousands of votes at a 67% ratio for Biden, 23% for Trump were uploaded multiple times into the system. Biro mo yan.
Number 8, they did this on purpose. It was calculated. They've done it before. We have evidence from 2016 in California, and we have so much evidence, I feel like it's coming in through a fire hose.
Ganon kadaming ebidensya pumapasok.
Ganon kalakas ang buga. Sabi nga, pag sa fire hose, nakita niyo yung buga ng tubig ng fire hose, ganon kalakas ang pressure, ganyan din ang mga ebidensya nakikita nila lumalabas ngayon.
Quote number 9. It is absolutely brazen how people vote the system and why they vote the system. Ito maganda. Number 10, kasamang Henry.
In fact, every state that bought Dominion for sure should have a criminal investigation or at least a serious investigation of the federal of the officers in the states who bought the software. We have even got evidence of some kickbacks, essentially.
Tinan nyo, ha? Quote number 11, aware of substantial sums of money being given to family members of state officials who bought this software. Ginawa din yan dito kasamang Henry, palagay ko. Nung inintroduce itong Smartmatic noong 2010,
Malaking kinita ng
dito
mga
sa
dilawan
atin,
yan.
may kumita ho dito kung bakit nagdesisyon yung COMELEC na ito ang gamitin. Samantalang, even before, ang dami ng mga reports na negative about Smartmatic. May mga bansa na binan na sila. Pero despite all that, ay binili pa rin ho itong system na ito dito sa atin noong 2010. At hanggang ngayon, sana hindi na ho ito ang magamit na election software dito sa 2022 elections natin dito sa
Paano?
Pilipinas.
Sasabihin naman, hanggat hindi nawawala itong pandemic na ito, may balot ang gagamitin, patay na naman tayo
Ay,
dyan.
talagang gabi.
Number 12, we're getting ready to overturn election results in multiple states.
Ayun ho, yung mga pronouncements ni Sidney Powell. We already know that there were glitches from Dominion voting machines in certain areas. And we also know that there was an emergency upload to their voting machines the night before the election.
No, parang dito rin, ano?
Parang
may, may resulta na, meron ng binibilang na boto, hindi pa tapos yung election. Hindi pa nag-umpisa.
One day before the election, yung sa
nga,
dito yung Saragay, yung sa Camarines,
di ba?
lumabas yun na ganoon na wala pa hong election. One
Meron
day
na.
before the election, mayroon na hong resulta.
Ito, ganyan din, no?
Ganon din.
Emergency upload to their voting machines the night before the election.
Kung ano nga ang ginawa dito sa atin, ganon din ang ginagawa sa Amerika.
While the source of the glitch is still under investigation, one state ballot supervisor, Marcia Ridley, initially told Politico on November 3 that Dominion, which prepares the poll books for counties before elections, uploaded something last night which is not normal and it caused a glitch.
Yan, puro glitch ang sinasabi.
That reported incident prevented staff from programming the voter smart cards for the voting machines. And Ridley continued, that is something that they don't ever do. I've never seen them update anything the day before the election.
And it is also being reported that Dominion Voting System Security Chief Eric Coomer claimed that he personally made certain that Trump was not going to win the election.
Alam na kagad.
In a stunning interview, tingnan nyo ito ha, yung Dominion Voting System Security Chief Eric Coomer, nabanggit din ito doon sa press conference nila last Thursday. In a stunning interview conducted by Michelle Malkin, Joe Altman ng FEC, Faith Education Commerce United founder, reveals how he infiltrated Antifa. Ito yung mga Antifa is one of the organizations na financed by George Soros and his ilk. And how during a conversation with Antifa members, he discovered Eric from Dominion was allegedly part of the chat during the week of September 27, 2020. Altman explains that Eric was telling the Antifa members they needed to keep up the pressure. Tingnan mo ha. Itong Eric na ito, siya again yung Chief Security ng Dominion Voting Systems. Siya, nakikipag-usap siya dito sa Antifa. Anong sabi niya rito sa Antifa? You keep up the pressure. Ibig sabihin, manggulo pa kayo ng manggulo. No? When one of the callers asked, who is Eric? Someone answered, Eric, he is the Dominion guy. Altman said that as the conversation continued, someone asked, what are we gonna do if Trump wins? Altman paraphrased how Eric responded. Ito ho ang response ni Eric Coomer. Ang sabi niya, don't worry about the election. Trump is not gonna win. I made fucking sure of that. Yan ang sabi nitong Chief Security ng Dominion Voting System.
Luto na.
Luto na. No? In the end, we will see what can be proven in court and what cannot be proven. Apparently, some big legal moves are about to be made, and I would not bet against Sidney Powell. If Powell can pull this off, it will be the most shocking legal victory in the history of U.S. politics, and it will turn our country completely upside down. Ako, wala na tayong time kasamang Henry, 7:50, bilis ng oras. Ito pa hong isang isa pa hong analysis, napakagandang analysis dito. Pakita natin yung link, Ken. Hammer and scorecard, big tech's drive to end democracy. Paspasan natin kasama
Sige,
natin.
sige.
Sige. Pakita, yan ho ang link.
So on the evening of
Sinulat
November
ni
5,
Matthew Eret. Okay.
on the evening of November 5, the President of the United States delivered remarks from the White House relaying the evidence of a massive vote fraud conducted by the same intelligence community in Wall Street, Big Tech Alliance, that had been actively organizing for his overthrow for 4 years. So dito sinasabi meron na talagang ginagawa. Despite the truthfulness of his remarks, which growing evidence of vote counting computer software fraud has only validated, the mainstream media from NBC, CNN, NPR, MSNBC made the unprecedented move of censoring the president in mid-speech for the protection of the mind of viewers. Ito na yung pinigil nga, nag-speech siya ron, biglang pinatay lahat ng mga nawala yung coverage.
Among his many offenses to the consensus of the press, the president stated, if you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
But what does that mean? What are illegal votes? As the president lays out in that censored speech and in other locations over his past week, illegal votes means just that. Votes garnered for one candidate or subtracted from another candidate through illegal means. The typical forms such illegal votes tend to take maybe mail-in votes that arrive past legal deadlines and yet were counted anyway, or had their timestamps changed by postal workers. Votes from dead people, absentee votes from people who had moved from the states in registering their votes. There are others, of course.
Itong lahat na itong mga maniobra na ginawa
lahat dito sa atin
Pilipinas. The single most important technique used in this entire business of vote fraud has come to light in the form of big tech-controlled voting machines and associated voting counting software, which has come to dominate most elections around the world over the past 20 years, which were exposed already 14 years ago in the 2006 documentary Hacking Democracy. Magandang panoorin itong documentary na ito. Pamagat ng documentary, Hacking Democracy. This is the system of fraud which General Flyn's attorney Sidney Powell revealed on November 6 interview, saying, ito na, hindi na namin basahin kung ano sinabi dahil binanggit na namin. Powell went on to describe the hundreds of thousands of ballots appearing mysteriously in the middle of the night, all in favor of Biden, and described the software that had been developed a decade ago by CIA contractor and now whistleblower Dennis Montgomery, named Hammer and Scorecard. Ito ho, si Dennis Montgomery, CIA contractor siya. Siya ho ang gumawa nitong software na ito na ang pangalan ay Hammer and Scorecard. They were used by the forces and the Democratic operatives that had access to these programs through the government access points that they have and use it illegally to change votes in this country. It has got to be investigated probably by the President's most trusted military intelligence officials. Kasi kung ang mag-imbestiga nito ay yung mga taga-FBI o CIA din na ayaw naman sa kanya, wala rin mangyayari. Who can get into the system and see what was done. But we do have some evidence that that is exactly what happened.
This message was amplified by former NSA senior analyst whistleblower Kirk Webb on November 7 when he described how these sister applications work together to both map the voting differentials across a system and then apply subtle changes of votes according to software smart codes that flips votes from one candidate to another in microseconds according to the aims of the programmer.
Ayun, yung smart code na ito yung binago dito sa atin. If one is looking for smoking gun evidence that this has indeed happened, then one need look no further than the case of Republican Governor Matt Bevin, whose Democratic opponent Andy Beshear received the same 560 votes that were removed from Bevin's tally during a live CNN update last year. Tingnan nyo ha, mayroong 560 votes na tinanggal ng system mula doon kay Matt Bevin, exactly the same votes, 560, napunta naman doon sa kanyang kalaban. Ito yung vote flipping na sinasabi.
Similar glitches have popped up across the nation in the 2020 elections and occurred long before 2019. In fact, whistleblower tapes released in 2015 by federal judge Murray Snow revealed that these programs had been used to flip Florida votes in favor of Obama in 2012, and the 600 million pages released by Montgomery implicate Brennan and Clapper in managing Hammer's use since it was commanded by the Obama deep state in 2009.
Ito si Brennan at saka si Clapper, sila ho yung mga top security intelligence officials. Yung isa ay siya yung head ng CIA, yung isa naman siya ang head ng NSA, National Security Agency. The revealing case of Dominion systems. The best entry point into the corrupt world of fake elections run by today's deep state can be found in the case study of Dominion voting systems, a Canadian-owned company based in Colorado which dominates the American elections landscape. Currently, Dominion software is used in 30 states and brags that it serviced 71 million voters in 1,635 jurisdictions in the USA in 2016. Among those states where the software runs the voting reading and counting is included every single swing state now subject to recounts and court investigations such as Nevada, Arizona, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Pennsylvania.
On November 9, the Washington Examiner's Bethany Blankley reported that the Dominion voting system, which has been used in multiple states where fraud has been alleged in the 2020 U.S. elections, was rejected 3 times by data communications experts from the Texas Secretary of State and Attorney General's Office for failing to meet basic security standards. Yung sinasabi nga rito, marami nang nakikitang problema, hindi na nga pumapasa pero sige pa rin. Going further to demonstrate its partisan bias as a deep state weapon designed to overthrow Trump, Dominion is directly connected to the Clinton Foundation through the Clinton Global Initiative's Delian Project, and this project was created in 2014 and sites on the website.
Anong sinabi doon sa website na ditong Delian Project? Itong Delian Project ho ito is Clinton Global, is run under the Clinton Global Initiative. In 2014, Dominion Voting committed to providing emerging and post-conflict democracies, ito na yung emerging mga democracies, with access to voting technology through its philanthropic support to the Delian Project. Philanthropic pa.
Okay, kasi sila yung nag-finance.
As many emerging democracies suffer from post-electoral violence due to the delay in the publishing of election results. Over the next 3 years, Dominion Voting will support election technology pilots with donated automated voting machines, providing an improved electoral process and therefore safer elections. Tingnan nyo kung gaano kasinungaling. No? When the Clinton Foundation describes the emerging democracies who will benefit from Dominion's generosity, they are actually referring to nations which have been targeted for color revolution-led destruction and reconstruction under the image of Soros's dystopic idea of a technocratic world order. Over the past decade, Dominion has donated over $50,000 directly to the Clinton Foundation for this project, and its former owner, William Kennard, was an Obama appointee as ambassador to the European Union. Tinan nyo talaga, ang daming koneksyon itong Dominion voting system na ito dito sa mga Democrats. And was earlier a Clinton appointee when he headed the Federal Communications Commission from 1997 to 2001. Ganon kagarapal talaga. Moreover, when shopping for a DC lobbyist, Dominion had to look no further than Pelosi's office when it hired Nadia El-Shami. Nung maghanap sila, nung naghahanap ang Dominion na kung sino ang gagamitin nilang lobbyist, ang kinuha nilang lobbyist, itong tao mismo ni
Pelosi.
House Speaker Pelosi, Nancy
Kalaban
Pelosi.
ni Trump.
Oo.
Before jumping on its divine payback for the Republicans who used the same tactics to put Bush and Cheney in power in 2000 and 2004, it is important to be reminded that this goes far beyond party politics and strikes at the heart of the supranational system of a system which operates above national politics. This is a supranational system that Trump has resisted since entering office when he stated that the future belongs to the patriots, not to the globalists. And this is a system that has spread its tentacles throughout every part of the world over the past century. Sidney Powell here hit the nail on the head by saying they've used it against other entities in other countries, and it's just been turned recently against our own citizens here to change election
Yan ang
results.
sinasabi namin na itong ginagawa nila sa mga third world countries, ginamit na rin nila doon sa bansa namin. The case of the Philippines, one paragraph na lang, although mahaba-haba ito. As stated earlier, Dominion's Dilian project is a reminder of the Soros-Clinton democracy building operations which have penetrated deeply into nations of the former Soviet nations and has made an embarrassing mess out of the Philippines, where its subsidiary Smartmatic, run by arch-globalist Lord Mark Malloch Brown.
Malloch Brown.
Ito ho si Lord Mark Malloch Brown, siya din ho yung PR person na humawak kay Cory Aquino. Siya yung speechwriter ni Cory
Cory
Aquino. Was revealed to be at the heart of vast vote fraud in the 2010, 2013, and 2016 elections. Ang oras po ay alas 8:02. Wala na kaming time para tapusin ito. Kasamang Henry, paalam na tayo.
So maliwanag na sinasabi dito na 2010, 2013, 2016 elections, pinakialaman talaga ng Smartmatic yung result ng election. So hindi na iiwan namin sa inyo yung pag-iisip niyan. At malamang, balikan pa natin to sa susunod na Sabado kasamang Rod. At muli, magkita-kita tayo alas 7 hanggang alas 8 dito sa ating programang Punto Bandera Nationwide. Have a nice weekend po.
Paalam po.
Balita ba at mainit na usapin ang hanap nyo? Mga kabandera, dito na tayo sa laging nangunguna. Bawat segundo, laging may kaganapan sa lipunan na dapat mong malaman. I-like at i-share lang ang mga mainit na balitang inilalabas ng ating mga official Facebook page. Huwag kalimutang i-like at i-follow ang ating kalawang official Facebook page, Bandera News TV Philippines. Bandera News TV Philippines. Ito po ang inyong kabandera, Paul Henderson. Basta Radio, ibandera mo!
Balita ba at mainit na usapin ang hanap nyo? Mga kabandera, dito na tayo sa nangunguna. Bawat segundo may kaganapan sa lipunan na dapat mong malaman. I-like at i-share lang ang mga mainit na balitang inilalabas sa ating official Facebook page. Huwag kalimutan, i-follow